Wanted to make a video about these BEIYUAN E-SHEAR maces. If you're shearing alpaca, these are 100% the best clippers. They're just workhorses. Nothing can kill them. Almost nothing. They do eventually die, but it usually takes about a year. The only weak point is the cord. Sometimes the ground is like a mesh around all the other cords, so constant bending, usually it'll break somewhere in here after about a year. But besides that, these things, compared to Heinegger or anything else, nothing can kill them. The Heineggers, I'm constantly fixing gears, springs, every part is breaking. These things, so much more sleep during the shearing season because I'm not staying up all night fixing clippers. But they are very, very finicky, and so I just wanted to point out some of the problems. The blades have to be very sharp, otherwise they just won't cut at all. The tension is like very finicky, and the difference between is like, that's like not cutting, that's cutting, that's blue. So you really got to get the hang of there's a bit of a learning curve. People will have problems with them heating up. The first thing to do is when you get it brand new, I've gotten several of these and they don't come oiled sometimes. So the first thing is fill this oil up, but the oil is not usually the reason for the overheating. Usually it's fiber gets back in here and clogs up this back section, and then the body will start getting hot. In the bag, they'll come with a little syringe, and you can just get like a tube of grease. Let's use this Harbor Freight synthetic grease. Just squirt some grease in the top. Let's fill it up. So, and you almost hear it if it's new and it doesn't have grease. I just put a little grease in the top, then just put the plunger in, and then push it down. So it'll come with a little Phillips screwdriver, and there's a little screw right in here where that grease goes in. So that's the first thing, is even when they're brand new, put some grease in there, because sometimes they don't remember to grease them. So pop that out, put it somewhere where you're not going to lose it. Then you're just going to take your syringe. I don't really know the proper amount, but I've just been putting like a little bit in there. It seems to be working for me. So squirt some grease in there, and you're good for about a month, I'd say. So then just put that screw back in, and that's that. Then once a week, I'll take this back end off, and that's just the same Phillips screws. I'll first release this, because this needs to slide over the cord. So you'll need a either the right size wrench, or I just have an adjustable. Just pop that counterclockwise, unscrew that, and then slide that down the cord. And then these cords are real fragile, and as they get older, you'll see they'll get like this little thing kind of grips on the cord, and it will get kind of a groove, and eventually that's where they'll break. But so you want to be real careful and just hold it, kind of hold the cord down so that you're not pulling up on those electrical connections. Then grab it with like a pliers or something and turn it back and forth till you get over the little bump. Or sometimes with your fingers you can just work it out. Just pull this up. Sometimes this white piece will pop off of the rubber piece. Yeah, usually that white piece will pop off, and then you'll slide the rubber piece out. You just want to give yourself enough room that you can slide this out over the cord so that you're not pulling on those connectors, because it won't come off if that's still fastened. So now that you've got this back end loosened up, you'll just take these screws out. You'll just turn it back and forth, gently pull so you don't pop that. There's a wire that's connected to this switch, so you don't want to pull it too far. If you look in there, you'll see that wire. And this mesh is what breaks eventually, is that little silver mesh. So that's what that around the other wires is what breaks. This actually doesn't have too much hair, but there'll be like a ton of hair jammed in here. I'll see if I can find a better one. But what you'll do is take the screwdriver, and just go in here and like squish the hair out. Blow in there, blow all this out, blow in there. There'll be just tons of hair jammed in there. And about once a week, you clean all that out and you won't have problems with overheating. Then you'll just slide it back on and screw it together. Also, I've noticed the tension switches get a little like sticky sometimes. So I like to, at least once a week, just when I'm doing that, I'll just put a little grease, pull this out, put some grease in there, grease up all the threads and like the spring, just so it doesn't stick, because you want that tension to be reliable. Otherwise you'll cook blades. But it's a very finicky animal, but it runs forever. Like, you can throw it at a barn wall and nothing kills it. So it's worth putting up with its faults. They're quiet, they run smooth, they're just a beautiful tool to use. It's just that learning curve, getting them to cut originally and getting them to not overheat. You'll see on this one I replaced the standard switch. So here's the switch they come with. It's a little momentary switch. But you can just get little momentary switches at Lowe's, and they actually just fit right into the hole, and tighten down. And they're a little longer than the old ones, but they work pretty good. So but usually it's not the switch. Honestly, I think it's the cord. Every time I've replaced the switch, it's more often been the cord. That's usually where the wire will break. It's right there. So sometimes you can just strip back behind this, rewire everything, and you're good to go for a while until it's just kind of a bad design. But the great thing is this cord is really thick, so it's very hard to cut. It's just thick enough it doesn't easily fit between a 9-tooth. So it saves you from cutting the cord, which would be very sad. So Ralph McWilliams actually sells a replacement cord, but when they come, they don't. It's just going to be a wire, so you're going to have to get some like little crimp-on connectors with these tiny holes. But I always just try to like look at where it was attached and try to do it the same way. Okay, this is the way the wire should be. So I don't know how helpful I can be here because I don't fully understand the wiring stuff. They include a diagram, but it's absolutely useless because the wires are black, not colored. And the wires have different numbers, but there seems to be no correlation to the letters on the back of the clipper. But I've included a picture of the way it is, and if you just copy that, it seems to have worked for me. I'll try to make a better video when I have a better understanding.